Hi, my name is Josh Urban Davis from Microsoft Research and Dartmouth, and today I'll be discussing PokerFace, exploring augmenting masks with captions through an interactive, mixed reality prototype. I'd like to thank my collaborators at Microsoft Research, including Ed Cottrell, John Thang, and Teddy Said, without whose support this project wouldn't have been possible. Masks as personal protective equipment, or PPE, have become an integral part of our daily garments in order to slow the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, these daily wearables introduce many limitations to communication, including obscuring the mouth and facial cues, as well as muffling the voice. These communication limitations are exacerbated for mask wearers who may be deaf or hard of hearing. Given the history of enabling expressive communication by embedding computation into wearables, we devised an experiment guided by the following two research questions. Number one, how can embedding computation into face-worn wearables support interaction? And two, can augmented masks facilitate better communication for users than traditional masks? To explore the problem space posed by these research questions, we designed and prototyped PokerFace, an augmented reality mask embedded with computation using a commodity smartphone and recyclable materials. The benefits of this approach include the environmentally friendly and cost-effective nature of the principal material, being cardboard, as well as the wide availability of commodity smartphones. These two factors could contribute to broadening the financial accessibility of the device, as well as encourage as wide adoption as possible. You can see here a quick demonstration of the mask being used. We should mention that there is a small amount of fabric around the external parts of the mask in order to ensure that there is full face coverage and sealants to prevent any droplets or mist from escaping from the top, bottom, or sides of the mouth on the mask. The principal contributions of this investigation include the following. A prototyped mixed reality mask called PokerFace, made using iterative design process using a commodity smartphone and recyclable materials. An evaluation of the prototype PokerFace mask and a counterbalance study examining its ability to facilitate communication, and a suggestion of prototype applications which explore the design space of mixed reality masks and face-worn wearables. I'd like to first discuss some of the potential applications of this device in order to demonstrate the greater vision and future potential of its adoption. These applications include live video for capturing the emotional affect and expressivity by capturing in real time the mouth and nose of the user and displaying them on the front display of the device. This could allow the expressivity of facial cues and micro expressions to not be lost when we are communicating while wearing masks and maintaining public safety. There's also the potential of using text-to-speech to display captions on the bottom of the screen, which could be used to help mitigate some of the communication limitations afforded by traditional masks, as well as audio amplification, which could be used to take in from the built-in smartphone's microphone and projected through the built-in smartphone's speakers in order to amplify the voice and overcome some of the muffling effect that happens when users wear traditional masks, as well as going a step further using text and audio in order to potentially enable live translation. So in real time, a user could speak into the mask using one language and have the audio output and the text display be in another language, thus supporting and facilitating intercultural communication. But to explore some of the potential communication capabilities that could be afforded by such a device, namely the video display of the mouth and nose, as well as the potential for using captions to support communication, especially for users who might be deaf or hard of hearing. We devised a study with 21 participants, 2 of whom were deaf or hard of hearing, under 4 conditions demonstrated in the figure here on the left. These 4 conditions include a user wearing a traditional mask, a person wearing the prototype PokerFace mask with video but without captions, a person wearing the prototype PokerFace mask with captions but without video, and a user wearing the prototype PokerFace mask both with video and with captions. And under these 4 conditions, we asked our participants to play 2 games of Guess What, a communication game similar to charades. The game is played by each player taking turns as either the guesser or the clue giver. The guesser places a phone on their forehead like you see in figure C here, and the phone displays a noun such as an animal or an occupation. The other player provides clues to the guesser, encouraging them to guess the noun displayed on their forehead. Once the noun is guessed, the players move on to the next clue. We collected both qualitative and quantitative data from our study during the game of Guess What. The qualitative data took the form of participant feedback and Likert surveys, and the quantitative data took the form of the participant performance during the game of Guess What, in terms of how many clues were guessed correctly during the game. We'll first explore the quantitative results, which you see here on the screen, and we found that overall participants on average guessed more clues correctly using the PokerFace masks than with traditional masks. And this trend remained true on average across all conditions, thus indicating that the affordances of the mask benefited and bolstered participant performance in this communication game. We also collected Likert scale results of participants' experiences as part of our exit questionnaire. Participants were asked to rate various aspects of their experience interacting with the prototype as well as traditional masks on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 indicated not at all and 5 indicated very much so. The results here on the left are the results of this Likert scale survey which we collected. I'll give you just a moment to have a look at it before I discuss some of the overall trends which we observed. So as you can see, overall participants reported that communication was easier when wearing the PokerFace mask than traditional masks, with 90% of participants reporting a score of 4 or 5 versus the 22% who said that communication was easy using a traditional mask. We also saw that participants generally, unsurprisingly, did not like wearing traditional masks very much and did not think that wearing traditional masks were fun, while we did overall see that the participants thought that wearing or interacting with the PokerFace mask could be fun, and they saw potential for adopting and using this mask in their daily wearable, as a daily wearable garment. We also examined a number of potential additional social aspects and conditions of wearing and interacting with this sort of prototype mask. If you're interested in these results, please see our paper. I won't touch on all of them here simply for the sake of time constraints for this very brief talk. But again, if you're interested, please, I encourage you to see our paper. In addition to the Likert scale questionnaires, we collected qualitative data in the form of interviews with participants, some of which I will share with you now. One participant remarked that the interaction was easier and more engaging when wearing the prototype. Normally with the traditional mask, I have to get closer than the 6-foot minimum to hear what the other person is saying if they are a senior citizen or someone who is just soft-spoken. I didn't realize how helpful facial cues are when talking. The prototype mask was a fun way to engage with the other person and see their mouth without removing the mask and feeling a risk of the virus. There are 2 quick things I'd like to remark here. 1, the violation of the 6-foot minimum in order to understand someone speaking while wearing a mask is of course a clear and dangerous limitation of current mask design, given that violating the 6-foot radius recommended by the CDC poses a danger to the person's health who is coming in close contact with the other person. As well as also we should remark that participants overall who even were not deaf or hard of hearing saw the communication benefit of lip reading and facial cues, which is well documented in accessibility literature and is potentially very familiar to participants who are deaf or hard of hearing. But what's interesting about its mention here is that this was not one of our deaf or hard of hearing participants, and that they still saw the benefit of lip reading and facial cues. And this sentiment of PokerFace enriching communication was echoed by one of our DHH participants who remarked that I sometimes don't hear what's said because the mask covers people's mouths, so I just nod my head like I hear them. I don't want to be rude and say I missed something, so seeing the captions displayed was nice because I could check the screen if I didn't hear the speaker. Indeed, both of our participants who were DHH preferred video with captions over video without captions. One DHH participant reported a reduction in stress when they stopped trying to hear the speaker and instead focused on reading the captions and lips of the speaker wearing the PokerFace mask. These results indicate that captions could serve as a promising accessibility feature for a mixed reality face-worn display. To quote directly, "It was easier once I got used to the mask. I could just focus on the captions and lips of the speaker and stop worrying about trying to hear them or pretending to be able to hear them." I'd now like to briefly discuss some of the future research directions and use cases for mask-worn wearables, including using flexible screens as a future potential material for the display, given that a flexible screen could conform better to the face and thus blend in a bit more seamlessly as a display on the face. I'd like to also explore and put out the idea of augmented reality features which could allow the augmentation of the user's, direct augmentation of the user's face to include facial hair or to wear makeup or to present them as a cartoon or present masks, all sorts of creative expressive potentials that are embedded within augmented reality and could easily be ported onto a facial worn display. And again, similar to the use case that I presented at the beginning of this presentation, live translation through both text and audio is a really promising potential for enabling communication across multiple languages. So once again, this has been PokerFace, exploring augmenting masks with captions through an interactive mixed reality prototype. My name is Josh Urban Davis. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter or through email, or see our paper in the Proceedings of HICSS 21. Thank you very much for your attention.